All right, Mo, it's I Pick the Topic Tuesday.
Start picking.
First up, Roy Oswalt to the Reds, huh?
Walt says he doesn't think it's going to happen, which is fine. I take all that with a huge grain of salt. I guess, right now, and I want the Reds to get Roy Oswalt. A couple of things, though. Number one, if I'm Walt, I'm going to sit back and wait. I'm going to see if the market dries up even more for Roy, and it has to this point. If somebody else signs him in the interim and throws a lot of money at him, fine. I'm pretty happy with my offseason. If toward the end of all this, at the beginning of spring training, or even once spring training has begun, he still hasn't signed with a team and his options are limited, the price comes down, his signability increases, and I think it puts the Reds in a really good position. Walt is operating from a position of luxury right now. He knows who his starting staff is going to be. There aren't many teams in Major League Baseball that I think can say that definitively a couple of weeks before spring training. I'm not nuts about trading Homer Bailey to make payroll room for Roy Oswalt, because the reason I want Roy Oswalt here is to add depth. Right now, there's not much there. I know the five-man rotation has its holes, and I know, we don't know what Mike Leake is going to give him this year, or Arroyo, or Homer Bailey. But my original thing with getting Roy Oswalt was you add him to the mix, Bailey goes to the bullpen, or Leake goes to the minors, and I've got options. The importance of these games is magnified, which means I don't have time to wait for a hotshot rookie at AAA to start games and figure it out. And I don't know what Aroldis Chapman is, and so I wanted to create flexibility and options when this team needs another starter, which they will. The best way to do that was for me to add Roy Oswalt to the rotation and throw Homer Bailey somewhere else or Mike Leake somewhere else and have them ready to start when needed. If I trade Homer Bailey, I cut into that depth and I sort of negate what I would do with Roy Oswalt. And if I trade Nick Massa to create some payroll flexibility, I kind of cut into what I've done with my bullpen this year, which is I've made that an area of strength on this baseball team.
All right, college basketball. Do you see Xavier in the NCAA tournament?
Ultimately, yes, because I think you can divide the games in half. Home and road. I don't think they're going to lose any more games at home. I think they're going to beat Rhode Island. They have Richmond. They have Charlotte. They have Dayton. Going on the road is going to be tough, and I just don't think that the Musketeers are going to lose all of their road games. I know they've got to go to St. Louis. I know they've got to go to Temple. I know they've got to go to UMass. I just don't think, despite the struggles at Memphis giving away the game in the last 5 minutes, I still think they're going to emerge from this okay. I don't see them losing more than 2 games. And that means I don't see them losing more than having more than 10 losses going into the Atlantic 10 tournament. They might have 10. They may lose in the A10 tournament. Ultimately, though, I think the bubble is so soft. I think what the Muskies did in the non-conference, even after the fight, is going to be enough. I'm really not getting into all the metrics right now. I still think they're going to have a double-digit amount of wins in the Atlantic 10. I still think they're going to be near the top of the conference, and I still think they have a great chance to win the Atlantic 10 tournament title. I just don't think they're going to lose enough to really put their NCAA hopes in jeopardy.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
What do the Giants have to feel bad about winning the Super Bowl?
Nothing. It's interesting. Whenever a team wins a Super Bowl, and I think this in football more than any other sport, there's a bunch of what ifs. Well, what if Welker would have caught that pass? Or, what if Manningham was this close to being out of bounds? They won. They won the championship. When a team wins a championship, there's nothing you could do to knock them off that pedestal. There's no what if. There's no asterisk. There's nothing more. There's no better boast. There's no better way to point at the scoreboard than to point at the scoreboard after you win a championship. The Giants have nothing to apologize for. I heard about luck in the NFC title game. Show me a team that's won a championship in any sport and wasn't at some point the beneficiary of luck at some point. That's how sports works. The Giants are a true, fair, and legitimate champion. I've heard people say, well, what if Brady's left shoulder wasn't bothering him? Tough. They won fair and square. Congratulations to them. And I hope the Bengals kick the crap out of them at Paul Brown Stadium next year. Email me, mo@espn1530.com, or shoot me a tweet at moeger1530.